It's the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 222. Deuces Wild this week. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, we welcome to our podcast for the very first time, brand new Golden Gopher softball coach, Gretta Melsted. She comes to Minnesota by way of Augustana in Sioux Falls. She's an Albert Lee product and is making her first major media appearance since being named head coach with us here this week, and we appreciate it. I know you'll enjoy our conversation this week. So much good, compelling background and info on what makes Gretta Melsted a huge success. Our Go Gopher podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. You can get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Hey, make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. As always, we want to thank Brian Slipka for his support of the Go Gopher podcast. Longtime Gopher sports supporter Cub is also a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher podcast with Mike Grimm. In a hurry, don't worry. Cub delivers. Get fresh meat, produce, everyday essentials, and more delivered to your door. Cub is the official grocer of the Golden Gophers and proud to support Gopher athletics for over 20 years. Shop happy. The Go Gopher podcast is also presented by onX Maps. Find out how to download the onX Hunt app for free by listening to this week's episode of the Go Gopher podcast. And we want to once again welcome brand new sponsor Great Clips to the Go Gopher podcast. We appreciate their support of the show and want to thank all of you listeners for making the show attractive for great people like Great Clips to come on board. Great Clips, get in, get out, look great. We'll talk more about Great Clips later in the podcast. We're podcasting episode 222 from the Aquarius Home Services studio. We invite you to subscribe or follow the Go Gopher podcast. It's free to do so. You can also go back and listen to the Go Gopher podcast from previous weeks. Last episode, for example, we had a chance to catch up with Gopher track and field coach Matt Bingle. He recapped the great showing at the Big Ten Championships, and he previews this week's NCAA Regionals. Still quite timely, so go back and have a listen. This week, we're talking softball with brand new University of Minnesota head softball coach Gretta Melsted. She'll join me next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner.
We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and our diverse family of independently owned companies, visit TrueNorthEquityPartners.com.
This is Jim Suhan for TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR-TIME. TSR Injury Law started off as a small business. They are now a large, very successful business because they help people, because they win cases. If you are injured, call 612-TSR-TIME. They will help you out or point you in the right direction. They will not charge you unless they win your case, and they win a lot of cases. We don't want you to need their help. They don't want you to need their help. But if you do need their help, call 612-TSR-TIME.
It's episode 222 of the Go Gopher podcast, and it's my pleasure to welcome to the show Gretta Melsted, the new Golden Gopher softball coach. First week or so on the job officially, on campus now. We're recording here on Tuesday afternoon late. You've kind of made the rounds. Obviously, you've met with the team from a few days ago. So what has this last week or so been like for you, and welcome to the U?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been an amazing last week. It's been a whirlwind, though. Just, fast-paced on having to make a decision, having to, figure everything out, let my former team know, and then start trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to get this move in, things like that, get my husband's job taken care of. And so it's been very, very busy, but just a super, super exciting time.
Yeah, and so that first meeting with team and players, take me through, if you can, a little inside the locker room on what that was like and what the reception's been like, and now kind of how you're working through getting to know everybody.
Yeah, and honestly, it was tough. Because I literally went from a Zoom meeting where I was telling my former players that I was leaving to meeting the new team. So I will admit there's, I had some tears, because you're going from one to the next, but a lot of excitement and just a chance to start to get to know them a little bit. And now I'm taking a lot of time trying to call each individual student athlete and try to get to know them a little bit, find out about them, find out about their family, and find out about where they'd like to see Gopher softball go and what we need to do for next year to be successful.
Yeah, and I'm sure the list now is long, right, in terms of everything that you want to do, in terms of, I suppose, retaining players on the roster, adding players on the roster, learning the current players on the roster, and all kinds of those things. So how's that list now forming for you of things in the immediate future, talking about that you have to take care of?
Yeah, it's starting. It's starting to come together, just getting to know the players and taking a look at like who's on the roster. And I have not seen a Golden Gopher softball game in years.
Yeah.
So just trying to familiarize myself with who's on the team, and then yes, are we going to need to go out into the transfer portal and get some kids? Absolutely, add some more pitching, things like that. So trying to figure out what we need and the direction we need to go that way.
And then you mentioned the idea, because you have been coaching at a high level, but it is in a different league. So it's not like, okay, we're going to go hire somebody that has followed the Big Ten, for instance. So this is a transitional time for you as well, right? Just to learn, all right, not only about the Gophers, but all right, we got to worry about Michigan, we got to worry about Washington. UCLA is pretty darn good, and just learn. I mean, that's got to be, that's a lot to soak in.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, everything's on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to learn all those things. I mean, of course, the game softball's still softball.
Yeah, right.
But definitely on a bigger scale. And so needing to make sure that we get the right student athlete here. And that's in many different ways. The right student athlete, of course, there's the athletic way and one that's going to, help our team's success. But there is the big part of the right student athlete for the school. Right student athlete for our program, for our culture that we're going to build here. And so there's a lot of things that come into that. But yes, the learning curve there's definitely a learning curve, and I'm right in the thick of it, and I'm sure it'll take me a little bit of time. But, I've got some great colleagues that I can reach out to and people that I've known for years that have already been coaching at this level that I know I can depend on.
In regard to that, too, and roster construction and style that you want to play, and you mentioned fit, is there a general model? I mean, obviously each roster each year might take on a different look, but you also, I would guess, have a type of player. Okay, this can be my cleanup hitter. I watch her play high school softball or club softball, and that fits the prototype. Here's a leadoff hitter. How has that evolved for you in terms of the fit being maybe even specific to a position or a spot in the batting order as you evaluate players to recruit?
Yeah, I think there's two types of fits. You have the intangible fit, and then you have the physical characteristics fit. And so we're going to be looking for players that are multi-dimensional, ones that might need to play second base one year or third base another year, but kids that you can put into different types of positions, and kids that are very, very athletic. We're going to look for kids that can really swing it. I'm really big on power. So we want athleticism, we want power, we're going to want some speed. So you've got that characteristic, but I think the big thing is also who's going to succeed in the type of program I run. I want kids that are super highly motivated. I want kids that want to be successful on the field, in the classroom, and in the community, or character-wise. So I'm looking for a kid who is more about the program than themselves, someone who wants to be a part of something bigger than themselves, someone who wants to play for the people who came before them, play for the people who are coming after them, and they also have all the other tools too. So it needs to be this meld of those two things.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about that in terms of roster construction and your style of play and how you coach and all of that, your vision, and what fans will see when they watch your teams play. But I want to also ask you a little bit. You mentioned that there was a tearful goodbye and maybe a tearful, start of your new journey here too. You've had a lot of success at Augustana, 800-plus wins. You're already in the National Fast Pitch Softball Coaches Hall of Fame, a national championship, multiple times in the D2 World Series, all of that stuff, and have had some offers, right, to leave before. Two-part question. How hard – I think maybe outsiders say, well, this was a slam dunk. You're not going to turn down a Big Ten job. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. You have deep ties there. You've been there for a while. And two, now when this opportunity came about, what was your mindset in regard to this was the right spot for me now to jump from a place that you've had so much success and have really put an anchor down there in terms of your ties there?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I've never been a coach that has said I have to coach at the Division I level to feel like I have had a good career. Obviously we've had a lot of success at Augustana, and it's not just success on the field. It's the type of kids that we turned out. It's the relationships that I've built across campus and the community that I've been a part of. So it wasn't something that where I was saying I needed to do that to feel like I had a good career. But I think so. What it was a struggle. It really was a struggle. And, it probably took me till about the last second before I could actually really make my decision and say, yes, I was going. And my husband was really good about it. And he knew what we needed to do. And so he was helping me along the way until I could completely get to that point to let, 20 years go and then be able to move forward. So for me, it was a tough decision. A lot of people would just be like, "Oh, well, of course,
slam dunk."
No,
but it's not.
Because there's more that goes into it. It's not just about me. It's about my family. It's about what's good for my kids. They're playing it in their schools, and they have really good situation there. And my husband has a good job, and he's really playing it in his area. He's from Northwest Iowa, so he had all those factors. But what really happened was all the barriers to that would stand in my way from taking this position just started melting away one by one. And when we really looked at it, this was really a family decision on what was best for our entire family. Yeah. It was not just mom's job. It was what's good for our kids, what's good for us. And so everything fell into place. And it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Your husband, Dan, and then your sons, Matthew and Jacob, right?
Yep.
How old are they?
Matthew's 13 and Jacob is 9.
Okay. So they're obviously old enough to understand what's happening here and probably into sports themselves and probably have friends that they've had since they were, young kids. So that's why it becomes a family dynamic in making a decision like this, right?
Absolutely. They're excited about the opportunity. Of course, they're scared. Worried about making new friends, but they'll be fine, Yeah. But it was things that we talked about it. It wasn't something that it was behind closed doors where we made this decision without chatting with our children. We talked about it every step of the way with them.
Yeah. You mentioned that they're kind of scared. It reminds me, PJ Fleck has been here now 10 years. You'll get to know him. Great guy, and he's a big softball supporter, and he'll come out to games and different things. I remember when the Gophers were making their run back in 2018, I think like half the football team is around the outfield fence watching them play in that regional here, and I think eventually then the next year the Gophers go to the World Series. But he talked about, and I hadn't heard him say this before, when he left Western Michigan to take this job way back in 2017, that he and his wife Heather were talking it over, and what made them decide to leave, because they were in a similar situation, great success, they were undefeated at Western Michigan, the community had embraced them, they had promised those players that this was what they, this is going to be something special, and then this opportunity comes. But it was a podcast a week or two ago, and people can go listen to it. I forget who he was on with, but he said, we talked about it, and we both said, we're kind of scared. Like, this is you're in a comfort zone. Hey, we found our path here, and that all of a sudden kind of became attractive. Like, hey, let's take this on. Let's get out of our comfort zone a little bit. Is there any thinking that you guys also kind of looked at it in that sense too? Like, we've been doing this a long time. Let's try something new that's out of our comfort zone right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked to our kids about that. It's mom and dad are scared. And it's okay for you to be scared, but look at all these possibilities that are in front of us. And we really felt like these doors were just really opening up for us. And this is the path that we were supposed to go down.
Yeah.
And we are a family of faith. We're Lutheran. My father was a Lutheran pastor. So we really felt like we were being led to do this. And so that is another part to it with our kids. But, you have to be willing to take those risks, and things in life are going to be scary, but you got to go for it.
Well, you're right in the mix of a bunch of Lutherans here, and I know Albert Lee is in your background, and your father. Well, and you mentioned Lutheran. Your sister, you were telling me, is a Luther grad. That's my school as well, down in Iowa, and so you went to high school in Albert Lee.
I did,
and then and was that after, because your sister ended up going to Dubuque, Hempstead. So was that through a pastoral move then?
Yeah. So my father had a very interesting career.
Okay.
I was actually born in California in the desert. My dad worked for the United States Naval Weapons Center. He was a mechanical engineer and he designed weapons.
Wow.
And he did that for over 20 years. But during that time, he felt the call to ministry. And it took him a long time for him to kind of get the courage to make that leap of faith. And so when I was 5 years old, we moved to Dubuque, Iowa, and he went to Wartburg Seminary.
Wow.
And we were there for 5 years before he got his first call, which was in Albert Lee.
Yeah.
So my dad made that switch when he was, I think he was 44 or so when we made that move.
Talk about getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, talk about getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have two siblings. I have an older sister, and so yes, she graduated from Dubuque Hempstead. I have an older brother, and he graduated from Albert Lee.
Yeah. Wow. How about that? So pretty cool background there. Go Norse, by the way. We got to get that shot in for sure. She was in music, or when she was there, is that right?
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, fun for sure. All right. So let's talk about the success you had. You had a 2019 NCAA championship. I had to write this down. I think 18 of your 20 seasons, you won 30 or more, 12 seasons, 40 or more, 7 seasons, 50 or more. You won 61 the year you won it all. So lots of success, 813 career wins. Even this year where you were kind of riding some young pitching and maybe giving up more runs than you're accustomed to, you still find a way to win the conference tournament and make the NCAA tournament. So even in a year like that, all of a sudden you're relevant and playing important games late in the season. So how does all of that experience now translate, do you think, here in Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota?
I think just the experience of coaching for a long time. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and yes, not at the Division I level, but at a very extremely high Division II level. I mean, one of the better programs in the country, and we have learned and figured out how to have success year after year after year. It's about bringing in the right kids and things like that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it directly translates. Again, bigger level, but a big part of this is really learning how to build a culture, and that is where we're going to start here. It's not all X's and O's. It is about building a culture, and that's where we're going to start. At Augustana, my players even had a name for it. They called it the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Because they took a lot of pride in what we were doing, and like I said earlier, playing for people who came before them, playing for people coming after them, and that it's more than just your teammate. It's someone that you can really, really count on in good times and in bad, and people who you want to have as lifelong friends, and people who are willing to go through that grind with you, people you want to that are going to hold you accountable, and you're going to hold them accountable. And So we're really going to start with this really good foundation with our culture.
And sometimes, right, when you start the culture, I've asked Nico Medved, the men's basketball coach, because he's had success, and he talks about similar things. I mean, any successful coach has got to do that in one way, shape, or form. And he said it's almost like osmosis. So you just, it's ingrained. The young guys learn it at the start when the tenure starts, and so I'm sure that's going to be an important aspect is instilling what your expectations are in terms of that part of it, and then those players learn, and pretty soon it's just kind of the Gopher softball way, and this is how we do it. And if you're not for that, then maybe it's not the right fit for you, right?
Absolutely, and I think it's yes, as you're seeing and talking about, it's having those older people teaching the younger, and it goes through. But you can't just rely on that as a coach.
Yeah.
That needs to be a big part of it, but you have to tend to it like a garden. And if you don't, there's going to be weeds that are going to pop up. So there needs to be a constant focus from top all the way through on our culture and how important it is and the values that we have in this program and the expectations and how we're going to behave, how we're going to play, how we're going to approach life, things like that.
When we talk a lot in those kind of things, details become important. Like you always hear there's different sayings or whatever, the small things become big things, all that stuff. But at the same time, sometimes you can't sweat those. You got to go through the little things. But if you just spend all your time worrying about that, right? You just have to fight, get through it, and play the right way, right? At some point, that's a decision that every player has to make.
Yeah. Being detail oriented is going to be very important for us. I'm really about dotting I's and crossing T's. And UCLA women's basketball was really good this year.
Yeah.
And my assistant found a quote that their head coach said, and I don't have it perfectly, but it was basically what made that team so special and so good. It was that they were really, really, they did the boring things at an elite level.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to do that to be really, really good. So you have to get kids to buy into wanting to do those things and then taking off and just playing.
Yeah.
And that it's just part of their daily life is dotting I's, crossing T's, doing things like that.
Gretta Melsted with us here. It's episode 222. Let me talk real quickly about our new sponsor, Great Clips and Clip Notes. Is it time for a haircut? If so, let me suggest the great folks at Great Clips. They make it easy and convenient. First of all, there's online check-in. Get the app. You check in. You can wait until it's your turn, hop in the car, and head to Great Clips, the Great Clips app. And then it's Clip Notes. Clip Notes, you say. What are Clip Notes? Well, in this day and age, we have to remember so much. Passwords, anniversaries, birthdays, dinner reservations, where we going, what's on the docket today. Well, the nice thing is you don't have to remember much about your haircut at Great Clips. You go in, you get it done, and then your stylist will keep notes, clip notes, so that the next time you go, you just check in online, go, sit down, they know what your haircut should look like. And that's it. They cut it, and the clip notes tell them what you want. No matter the salon, no matter the stylist. Clip notes from Great Clips. Get in, get out, look great with Great Clips.
Know what happy is? Veggies. Crunchy, crispy, colorful, seasonal, aromatic, juicy veggies. Produce at its freshest. Cub produce. Best produce, period. Guaranteed to make you happy or will replace it. No questions asked. Because good produce makes veggie lovers happy. Just remember, fresh, happy. Stale, limp, and wilted, not happy. You want to make a veggie lover happy? Shop Cub for produce. And shop happy.
Hey Gopher fans, Bobby Durkin here from Minnesota Men's Basketball. In our program, championship culture is built on toughness, trust, and showing up every day to do the work. That's why I'm proud to support the True North family of companies. True North invests in elite teams, like the championship team at True North Mergers and Acquisitions, Minnesota's largest seller of companies. To learn more about True North and their family of independently owned companies, visit thetruenorthfamily.com. That's how champions are built.
How do you think recruiting now, evaluation will change for you a little bit now, moving, as you've mentioned, into a different level? I mean, my guess, this is just a guess, is that I looked at your roster with the Vikings and a bunch of Minnesota players, a bunch of kids from Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, and those relationships with those coaches and clubs, and clubs have become kind of a bigger thing. I know in Iowa, my home state, they still play summer softball, which I think can help that competitive nature sometimes, because sometimes club, I think at times, can get into, I got to go hit my 4 hits and hope the coach sees that and I can get
and they're on time limits sometimes.
Yeah, time limits and all that, where when you're playing in a summer season with the kids you grew up with for the high school classmates, and it hurts when you lose, right? And so you get that instilled. Anyway, that's a sidebar of a whole nother thing. We could probably do a whole podcast on that. But my point is the evaluation. So you know coaches, you know the clubs, you're familiar with that. I would guess, I'm not saying every player in your roster has to come from that region, but a good chunk of it probably will. This is a great softball state and community here locally too. So now when you go out, how do you think that might change in terms of how you'll look at players, evaluate players? I'm guessing you had players at Augustana that easily could have played in the Big Ten, right? Eventually, at some point. And players, there's just more good players now than there were probably when you started at Augustana. But that doesn't mean you can probably go recruit that same player to fill a whole roster, right? So how does that work? That's a long way to ask. How are you going to start evaluating now, and will it change a little bit?
Yeah, first, how many players I've lost to the Gopher program?
Yeah.
And recruits? I've lost a lot.
Yeah.
You would not think that the Division II school is going head to head with Big Ten programs, but we did. We didn't always get them.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're recognizing the talent.
Yeah. Right.
I think one of the biggest difference now is not only just recognizing that talent, but of course there's that next layer of talent too. Now I can have that conversation with those kids, which, there's kids that you just know you cannot touch.
Right. Yeah.
And so now those kids,
that door might be open now.
Absolutely. And, there's a joke in the softball coaching community, especially more in the Division II ranks, that when someone jumps to the next level, high school coaches, travel ball coaches, all of a sudden talk to them in a whole different way.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll happen too. But yes, we're going to need to make sure that we are getting the more elite player. Yeah. The absolute elite player.
I suppose it's too interesting when you were recruiting at Augustana. My hunch is that you saw kids and you're probably like, that athlete can play D1. I hope she either falls through the cracks or they're not quite noticing her, or you recruit her hard enough that maybe playing time immediate is a help or whatever it is.
Yes.
Where now she still might be a player that you're still going to recruit at Minnesota, right?
Correct.
And then there are, as you said, there's players where anybody in the stands can see, all right, that player's elite. That is, anyone can identify she can play anywhere she wants, and now you maybe get to go after her.
Yes, exactly. We definitely will have a chance to go after those kids, and you're exactly right. There's that, going head to head. It was trying to get kids to maybe look at Division II in a different way, and it might be kids who could play right away, or trying to get kids to take a look at, you have a shot to actually go for a national championship here. So it was trying to and you could balance your academics and athletics a little differently. So it was, just switching a mindset. But we still will be going after those kids and then going after those next level of kids.
So you've made a trek around campus here for a little bit. What have you thought of the facilities? I'm sure you went into the weight room, and obviously you and I were just over filming something that will be online here as well at the stadium, which is beautiful, and season tickets sell out, and it is limited because of the weather. You don't get all the dates maybe you want, home games. But that said, it's a great home field. So what is your thoughts on facilities and resources now as you make this move?
Well, it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, just walking through the halls and seeing the things that student athletes have that it's offered to them. I mean, even in where we're at right now in this area where they have career services, where they have, things for leadership development. I mean, it's everything. So it's not just the athletic part, which is amazing, whether it's the weight room or the field or other things like that. It's all the other services that is offered to them, whether that's nutrition, whether that's meals. It's just it's amazing.
Yeah. Just down the hall from where we are is I guess I'd call it the food hall. There's probably a name for it. But that's one of the things I love the most is I'll come over here to do interviews or go talk to coaches or watch a practice, and walking by there and you'll see, okay, there's the women's golf team. Oh, there's a bunch of hockey players. There's some softball players, and they're all interacting, all eating, not, at roughly lunchtime it's like a beehive in there, and it's just so cool to see. And they even, for $14, I get to go have lunch sometimes if I want, and I'll just sit there and I just like to watch and just see. There's hockey hanging out with basketball, and there's softball talking to golf or what have you. So that part of it, and that is, it almost is a small college feel more when that's it. And I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Well, and I think it kind of represents what the athletic department is about at the U here.
Yeah.
And that is what drew me here. Is you're seeing, it's not an area where, yes, one team is over here and they don't, deal with this team and they don't deal with this, and it's all separate and everyone's in their own little silo. You see this, yes, interaction, and that comes from the top. And just in one day here, and what became very, very evident to me in the process that I went through last week was that there are a lot of unbelievable, great people who work here, who want the best for student athletes, who want them to become incredible human beings and to be very successful in life for the next 40 years.
That leadership, of course, is Mark Coyle is the guy on the top of the food chart here with Gopher Athletics. Share what you want. I'm sure maybe some of the conversations that you guys shared during this process you'd prefer to keep private. If not, let us know. But how were those conversations? Did he approach you? Tell us about the process as much as you want to share about it.
We had really good conversations, and my team was kind of going through the regional tournament at this time. One thing that struck me right away is that they were willing to just, Greta, you go and take care of your team. We'll talk to you after the week. Go take care of your team, because if that wouldn't have happened, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
That was very respectful to my institution and our athletes who had worked really hard to get to that stage. So having a little bit of conversation there, but then once things wrapped up for our season, then it went into more in-depth conversations and Zoom interviews and things like that. And it's a very fast process. There's no question, and for me, I am a processor, so it's probably a little faster than I'm used to. But again, I think what I saw was the commitment to the student athlete, the commitment to doing things the right way, the commitment to again creating really good human beings. And that's what drew me here.
I ask you this in the video we filmed for the webpage as well. As Gopher fans are watching your really good teams, if we went back and watched some archive footage or some game film or a game in itself of your great teams at Augustana, what kind of style, what kind of team? I know there's not a cookie cutter per se. Each team takes on a life of its own. But generally, what are things you want fans to say about your teams when they watch them?
Yeah, I want fans to be able to say that it is an exciting team to watch, that they are playing with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and you can tell that they are enjoying their time out there and enjoying playing with their teammates. So you have that component. But then what we want to see, I'm all about power. I really like power. So we want to make that game exciting with some big hits, some home runs, things like that. We're going to be aggressive on the bases. We're going to have really, really solid defense. And then, of course, we need to have really good pitching.
You've had good pitching over the years at Augustana. Some of your obvious. I mean, if you're going to win a title, you're going to have somebody that can throw strikes and strike people out and be big in big spots. But you need someone to hit the ball over the fence when there's two runners on base in a key spot too. You mentioned to me in the video the weight room is going to be big. Take me through that. And has that changed a little in softball? Maybe from 20 years ago, maybe more like 30 years ago, in terms of how much more weightlifting and strength and just even the power game has evolved. That's my impression. Am I wrong there, or is that maybe
I think
true?
The power game has evolved, and it's got, obviously bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But for me, the weight room has always been the cornerstone of my program. It didn't matter when I was a first-year head coach to where I am now. That's where I want to hang my hat. We want explosive power. And so I was really lucky when I was a GA. There was a phenomenal strength and conditioning coach, and so I was able to learn from him and see what he did, and that's just been something all the way through. I've been very, very lucky that we've had really wonderful strength and conditioning coaches, and so it turns into the exciting softball games where they can explode off the base because they're fast and they can get there because, or the ball's exploding off the bat or they're exploding off the mound. So that's a huge part about it. And I know you were talking about our 2019 team. You know where most of that team was from?
Here?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My pitchers, all Minnesotans.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's awesome. Speaking of power and strength, the fun thing about the stadium here is that the football practice wall is there with the big block M's, so that can become target practice in games, and I suppose in batting practice too, but it's really important in games, I suppose, as long as it's the folks wearing maroon and gold are hitting the block M up there.
Yeah, and how exciting for the fans to see someone take a ball out of the park and hit that building. I mean, that's going to be a nice monster shot, and that definitely is going to fire up fans.
The College Softball World Series, we're recording here on Tuesday. Folks will start listening to this on Wednesday. The College Division I Softball World Series starts Thursday in Oklahoma City. It's become such a huge event, big TV ratings, and I do think part of it is that the surge or the emergence of power. You watch, Pat Murphy's Alabama teams, and they've got, like, everybody can hit the ball over the fence. Now, they do have some base runners and good pitching and all that, but Oklahoma had that, they've been on this incredible run, and much of it is, they've been in the weight room and they're hitting the ball over the fence. I think it's a good game too, in that the fence, what is it, 200 feet, right? The fence generally 220, whatever it is.
220 in center.
Yeah.
Usually it could be 200, 205, and
so it allows for some of that, like women, athletic college women can hit the ball over that fence, but it doesn't mean the only way you can win is that. But boy, is it exciting! I mean, I can't wait to start watching the Division I World Series. I mean, it's just incredible, and year after year it sets TV ratings, and now they've even set it. That becomes a separate revenue. So it used to just be melded in with ESPN's going to pay for 50 sports, and softball, volleyball, some of these other sports have emerged to be viewed by so many people that they're starting to say, hey, we're going to bid that out separately. It's so good. But anyway, there's lots of, I love watching the Alabamas, the Oklahomas. UCLA is going to be in the mix. There'll be others, but hitting the ball over the fence is kind of fun, and that's the style you want to play.
Absolutely. And, I think the exciting thing with softball, and this has changed over years, how about how freshmen can come in and make such a significant impact on the game? I mean, you take a look at Oklahoma had a freshman, UCLA had a freshman who were setting home run records as freshmen. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And then you can take a look at pitchers too. You take a look at Alexis Jensen with Nebraska. Yeah. Of course, she's got Jordy Ball or Jordy Fromm, in front of her. But this is an interesting sport because kids can come in as freshmen and actually make a really huge impact on the team, on the game in general, and which then, brings in more fans too.
And I think, the evolution of the game, I mean, there's always been good players. Like the best players, I don't know if the best players today are any better than the best players from 20 years ago, but I think players, like let's say for the fun of it, say nationally, the 300th best player today is way better than the 300th best player 20 years ago, right? I mean, there's so many more good players. And you mentioned freshmen have an impact probably because since they're in third or fourth grade, they have been indoctrinated to this, and they're probably hitting the weight room starting when, the muscles can start getting built and whatever that is, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, certainly through high school. So they're physically ready now, or maybe that wasn't the case, a decade or two ago.
Yeah, I think so. And not only that, but the travel ball, the scene where they're going all over the country and they're playing that elite competition. Yeah. So they already have played at a really high level. So that transition to college, even though the transition to college is still always big, it might not be as huge as it once has been.
Yeah. More softball talk coming up. Stick with us. Want to talk about Onyx Hunt, one of our great sponsors here. Spring is busy in Minnesota. Actually kind of winding down, just a few weeks left of it, and then it's into the summer. And somehow a lot of you still trying to find that time to get into the woods, chasing turkeys or whatever else. And if you're going to squeeze a hunt in between games this spring and summer, you better know where to go. The Onyx Hunt app shows you public land, private land boundaries, and access points all on your phone. So you can make the most of every window you've got this spring and summer. And right now, download Onyx Hunt wherever you find your apps, and you can start a free 7-day trial thanks to the Go Gopher Podcast. Know where you stand with Onyx Hunt from Onyx Maps. We want to thank them for their support of the Go Gopher Podcast. The landscape of college sports, and softball's included in this, has changed dramatically, for sure, at the Division I level. And I'm interested to know if even at the D2 level, I mean, Sioux Falls is an emerging town with lots of sports fans, and there's money floating around there for sports. So maybe you were involved in some NIL, some of your athletes were. I don't know. You can comment if you want. But there's softball players that are making pretty good wages right now nationally. So have you had a thought or investigated that part of what that means for this job right now and to have success in the Big Ten for you for that?
Yeah, I know it's going to be something that we're going to need to really start going down that path, because that's really where softball is going. And yes, there are some really, really big softball pitchers in the game that are making really high figures. Yeah. You take a look at Nigeria Kennedy. I mean, she left Stanford, and it's just kind of mind-boggling, those numbers. She was kind of the leader in that. But yes, you are seeing that in Division I softball, and that is an area we are going to have to really look at going down.
How aggressive does the head coach have to be in that, do you think?
I think I'm going to have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure varying programs have different philosophies on how the department as a whole wants to go about it, and that's always a fair topic for discussion. So at some point, if you want the big hitter, you may have to go find somebody to help you out to get that, right, or a hitter, or hey, we got a hole, man, if we can plug this hole. I'm not saying like this coming year, but as you build this thing, and we're one player away. Yeah. Right, you may just have to go ask a favor from somebody to say, "Hey, we need some help here."
Absolutely, and it also might not be. It might be what it's about. What are our needs right now? Yeah. And so we're going to have to look at that as we move forward.
You coached basketball for a time too, right?
I did.
Take us through your background. Why did you want to be a coach? You were an athlete in both basketball and softball at Carleton. What was it about your upbringing in Dubuque and Albert Lee and places in between that you decided coaching was your profession of choice?
Yeah, this might surprise you. I actually also coached boys basketball.
Is that right?
I did, in the Twin Cities area here.
No kidding, yeah.
A long time ago. And at a time where, like, on the bench, people would think I was the athletic trainer and not the coach.
Sure.
And so I loved both sports growing up. But basketball was more my passion when I was in college, and I really thought I was going to be a college basketball coach. I got into it that way. That's what I did my GA in, although I still coach softball. Got my first job as a head softball coach, but an assistant basketball coach. And it was during that time that something clicked. It was just, I don't think that's the path I'm supposed to go down. Yeah. I really think I'm supposed to be a softball coach. And to be honest, I'm still actually burned out on on basketball. Yeah, I don't enjoy watching the NBA on TV.
Yeah.
I've just kind of left that world and left it behind and moved forward. And I do have to admit, I'm probably glad my kids aren't basketball players.
Yeah.
They're hockey players. But that's, and I don't even know how coaching got in my blood, because I really don't come from a super athletic family. My family was more musical, and I'm the only athlete. But there's something that I fell in love with sports, and I think it's really the team, the like striving for a goal, the competition. I am ultra competitive.
Yeah.
So it is all those things that's driven me to coach.
Have you put your finger on why it clicked for softball at a point in which you thought you might? The basketball was maybe even a bigger passion, and then it just took a right turn, and all of a sudden here you are in the Hall of Fame already as a coach.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was. It was at that time also I was looking for head women's basketball coaching positions, and I was getting some opportunities, but it was still in Missouri, and I really wanted to get back up towards this area. I had aging parents. I wanted to make sure that I was close to them. Plus, I wanted to be closer to home, and enjoy this part of the country. And so there's probably part of that, but I don't know. I think the opportunities came in softball, and it was, I think, another example of a door opening up and taking the leap of faith, and that's the way I was supposed to go.
Then all of a sudden success starts clicking and it gets addictive, right?
Yes.
And you want to keep doing that. Remind me your age of your boys. You said they play hockey?
Yes, a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old.
So they're coming to a great city for that,
Yes,
right?
they are.
I mean, are they pretty good? They like it?
I have 2 goalies.
Oh, wow.
It's just, people usually say I'm sorry when they hear
that's
hear
a
that.
nerve-wracking. That's for the mom. That's a nerve, and dad too. But my sister-in-law, my nephews were all lacrosse goalies, and they played in state tournaments and championship games here. And my sister-in-law couldn't sit in the stand; she had to go. So that can be a lonely watch if you're parent of a goalie.
Yeah, I think being a coach, it's helped me.
Sure.
I can stay fairly calm and just let them play. And as long as they're working hard and they're giving full effort and they're being a great teammate and they're listening to their coaches, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, they're going to give up goals. Their teams are going to lose. That's life.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that they're working hard, doing their best, and being a great teammate.
Yeah.
And yes, the opportunities in Minnesota, of course, are far superior to any kind of hockey opportunity in South Dakota. We were very fortunate that our oldest son had an opportunity to play on, and I know it's so different in Minnesota, but he played AAA Tier 1. But what we had to do last year is we had to fly all over the country for him. And now we won't have to do that. And he's excited to he's excited to come and play here and just have he's got better opportunities for development that just aren't there. And so we're excited for both of our kids for that.
And at 13 and 9, they get to now skip school on Fridays to go to tournaments. That was the most mind-boggling thing when I moved to town. When I moved to this state,
yes.
My son's friends. My son did not play hockey. He was basketball and baseball, but he had friends. And then I get to know his friends' parents, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to Fargo tonight." And I'm like, "Well, what about school tomorrow?" And they're like, "Well, it's hockey." Go. So he had friends that didn't go to school like through much of the winter on Fridays. Oh, we got a tournament in Fargo or Detroit Lakes or Duluth or wherever, because the ice time to do a whole tournament has to start at like 9 a.m, I guess, on Fridays. I just think it's an excuse for parents to go have fun, but that's okay too. They got that pre-meet or pre-tournament meeting or whatever that they have to get together. So I'm sure they'll like that they don't have to go to school as much on Friday. It's like an excused absence. I couldn't believe it. But you know what? The community, this is the only state that does community hockey, I think is how they've described it. And it produces such high-end hockey, and it's just a fabric sewn into this state. It's incredible. So I'm glad your kids get to come and see it here in the Twin Cities.
We're excited for them.
Yeah, pretty cool. Well, hey, we I said 30 minutes. We're already over 40, but it's been very intriguing, very fun to get to know your background a little bit. I think fans will enjoy getting to know you. And before we know it, we'll be having home games and season tickets and all this stuff. Gophersports.com. Lock your season tickets in. But welcome to Minnesota. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's episode 222, the new Golden Gopher softball coach, Gretta Melsted. My thanks to new Gopher softball coach Gretta Melsted for joining me this week, a very busy week, and letting us get to know her and her family better and what drives her and why she's been so successful. Her vision is great for Golden Gopher softball. Episode 222 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. Cub is a proud supporter of Gopher athletics for over 20 years and a proud sponsor of the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm. Cub, bigger savings on the items you love. Shop happy. Great Clips is brand new to the podcast. We want to once again thank them for supporting the Go Gopher Podcast. Get in, get out, look great with Great Clips. And OnX Hunt also sponsors our show, Happy Hunting from OnX Maps. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and please right now click that subscribe or follow button to the Go Gopher Podcast. It's free to follow, free to subscribe, and free to listen at any time. And please share the link to the podcast with others so they can subscribe and listen as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, please let us know with some positive feedback on your social media channels. We'll talk again next week.
Know what the happiest bird is? Chicken. Cub fried chicken. Wait, let me rephrase that. Know what bird makes people happiest? Cub fried chicken. Crispy, crunchy, juicy, perfectly seasoned. It's the kind of chicken that disappears faster than you can say, 8-piece, please. Or, let's be real, maybe 12-piece. Because when it comes to fried chicken, more just means more happy. So if you're shopping chicken, shop Cub fried chicken and shop happy.